Good evening and welcome to round 12 of the Pure Driver School European Sprint Series, brought to you live and exclusive on the Total Sim Sport broadcast channel. Today we're at the famous Sebring track, the bumpy Sebring track, to conclude the season of racing that we've had. I am Sebastian Bosher-Williams, joining alongside me, the ever talented Chris Rowlands, and our producer is Sean Cranleigh-Swash. Good evening, Chris. It's so nice to have you in the commentary box again for another great race at Sebring tonight. Just give the viewers a little bit of an insight into what we're sort of looking for today's race.
Good evening, Seb. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me again. The main thing we're hoping for, with Fusion Racing and YouTube chat on this, is we don't want to see another 18-car pile-up like last week at Monza. I think we'll be a bit, I don't want to tempt fate, but I think we're a bit safer here. In particular, the LMP2 field are going to be practicing for the Sebring 12 hours next weekend. And also, as you can see on the track map there, this is quite a different profile circuit to Monza, because you've got your couple of medium to long straights, the main straight and the back straight. There's not really a huge number of other overtaking opportunities. You've got into the hairpin, but you're costing yourself a lot of time. So really, it's about not making a mistake through the lap and just being sort of tidy behind the car in front of you, whereas last week was a bit of draft fest, which I think partially contributed to that accident. This week, I'm more hoping than expecting it to be cleaner, but there's quite a lot of familiar faces in tonight, so I think they'll all be traumatised and on their best behaviour.
Yeah, you've reminded me of that big accident. I don't know how I managed to forget about that, but yeah, that was another sort of moment to add to our commentary sort of careers, really, is that it was absolute carnage out there. But yeah, let's hope that tonight can be much better and much safer. Here's Marco Ricci in the Porsche 919 GTE coming across the line. Can he improve on his qualifying time? He goes up to second place, 1:46.299 on the board. Here is Jerome Chave, your pole sitter in the GTE category so far, with a 56.035. Good luck from him. He's improving a little bit on this lap. Not super quick though, so we'll have to see if he can extend his gap. Still a lot of people yet to set their first lap times, as it's all just starting to unfold. Qualifying 2 minutes 14 seconds left to go in this qualifying session, Chris. And so you talked about the fact that we've got the Sebring 12 hours just next week, in fact, which surprised me. I haven't had enough practice for that. How do you think that's going to sort of affect what the drivers are going to do out on track today? Do you think they're going to be sort of less aggressive and just trying to sort of work out setups more?
Well, I think the LMP1 and GTE fields, you'll imagine they'll be aware it's going ahead, but it's irrelevant for them because they're not actually their classes aren't participating. But yeah, I think the LMP2 field, for me, if this were me racing, I would be treating this as a fact-finding mission, rather than so much I must win this race. Beyond the actual, every racing driver wants to win every race. That's sort of a given, but you would rather crash out of tonight than you would next week. Although, obviously, as we're broadcasting this, what we want to see is top-level racing. And not what we were quite on the subject of, but I was interested with Jerome Chave, who is now down to second, but in his Ford, very high up. I did think, you can see it here with Soldatov in the Porsche. The Porsche looks a lot lairier in some of the bumpy parts of the track compared to the Ford. The Ford was just taking it in its stride, and I do wonder if that is going to play into Jerome's hands later in the race, just having a slightly more controllable car, perhaps. I'm not a Ford driver, so I don't want to put sort of experiences into other people's minds that I've not had myself, but we haven't seen Jerome qualify this high in a long time, so I do wonder if this track is suiting the Ford as well.
And we can only hope for that. It's so interesting and so great to have sort of other different GTEs in the pack to sort of have this contrast. And you're right, it did look like the Ford was quicker over the bumps, and if it's able to handle the bumps better, you can race better, take more curve, take more apex speed. So really interesting to see. And you're right, Jerome Chave will start from second in the GTE field. Just having a look there at the session status, the track temp there, really high, 38 degrees Celsius. So really slippy out there in tonight's race. So going to be really tricky there for the drivers, and expect the times to just drop off towards the end of the hour race as the tyres wear off. So, Chris, as we line up, as the drivers just about to start lining up on the grid before we go live, why don't you take us through our LMP1 field tonight?
Of course, so we've got Jan Curbs on pole. So it's, again, we sort of, every other week he seems to qualify and show his true pace. He's in the Porsche tonight, so it'll be interesting to see how he copes with 5 Audis behind him, especially because as you look alongside him to Simon Cowlarts, there is only a quarter of a hundredth of a second. There are probably easier ways to say that. No, a quarter of a tenth of a second, rather. Basically, Simon Cowlart's very close in pace to Jan Curbs, looking at that. And they're nearly a second clear of Jake Carey in third, who alongside him has Roberte Edouard, who we've seen a fair amount of this season. He's yet to really get to the front of the LMP1 field. Tonight's a good chance because it is a slightly reduced field. Austin Cobb, he is on row 3 alongside a familiar face to our regular viewers, but not in this class. We've got Joost Bouwmeester, who is in 6th place in LMP1. And I suspect if you told him he'd qualify 6th in LMP1, he'd normally take that. But sadly tonight for Joost, it's only a 6-car field. But Seb, do you want to take us through the LMP2 field while we wait for the pace lap to begin?
Sure can. So Owen Carroll is your pole sitter with Julian Chastanet just behind him, 5/10 off even, in fact. So just a little bit behind. Very close to is David Gutel, though, only half a tenth behind second place. Andrew Dawson is 4th place with Elvis Vanillo in 5th. Alberto Blasco is 6th with Dennis Zimmer in 7th. Astor Eaglemels is 8th with Thomas K. Hallams in 9th place. Pietro Sciatento is 10th place with Alan Elber starting just behind him in 11th, with Maxim Jusevsky in 12th place. And just before we go to the GTE field, it's really good to see, Chris, you know, the LMP2 field being, I mean, twice the size of the LMP1 field. And I guess it's sort of what we were going back to saying about the Sebring race is that, you know, because Sebring is, maybe for an LMP1 driver, you might sort of decide to race this race in the LMP2 because that's what you'll be racing in the Sebring 12 hours. So maybe that's sort of affecting the car count in both the LMP1 and the LMP2 field. So really interesting dynamics, and it's really good that we get to see this in this race. Why don't you take us through the GTE field?
Yeah, of course. So we've got Mads Johansson. He has qualified on pole pretty solidly in the end with a 1:55.306, and that is 6/10 quicker than the aforementioned Jerome Charvet, the only person not in the Porsche GTE in this field. So he'll certainly win the non-Porsche class tonight, regardless of what happens. Vincenzo Principe, he is in 3rd alongside Tom Basley, who I believe is a new name to us in the GT field tonight, and he's car number 5, so clearly a talented driver, so he's one to watch. Marco Ricci, he is in 5th. He's the only driver left who is within a second of Mads Johansson's time. Alongside him is Raimondo Ricci. And then row 4, we've got AJ Marston and Sergei Soldatov. And then Roman Verdolivo, who we believe is starting from the pits. So that's going to be interesting to see because we know exactly how quick Verdolivo can be. And he is leading our championship for the broadcast split. And it'll be interesting to see how he gets on with that. Now, the remaining 3 drivers haven't set times. So they're going to line up in iRacing order. That's Jorge Carmo, Nick Phillips and Greg Murray. So we have got, and it's like you're saying, Seb, there is a really nice symmetry to a field size of 6, 12, 12. For LMP1, LMP2 and GT respectively. I don't think it's been very often we get that. It's also quite rare that the LMP2 field is quite as strong as it is tonight because the average number on those cars is quite low, and that means they've all got quite high I ratings. So I think we're seeing in the other splits, I reckon there's going to be a lot of LMP2s in those ones as well. And I do think sometimes when you've got that maybe slightly out of sync strength field, it can make it a bit trickier for the other classes when it comes to lapping them, because they're maybe not quite, you know, if you've not got that spread of pace, the drivers are all going to be close together. So if you're a GTE and the LMP2s are making their way through you and there's 12 of them in about a 20-second gap, it's going to be relentless. And we've seen in the last few weeks that 20-minute zone, that's the danger zone. So we're going to hope for a slightly cleaner race tonight, I'm sure.
I certainly hope so, yes. Please, let's not have 14 cars go out. It completely decimated the LMP1 field and robbed us of a great battle at the front of the field. So let's hope that it can all be clean and we all get that great racing going through. You can see on the track map in the top left, top right of your corner that the classes are very spread out. So really no classes wanting to sort of get involved with each other's starts as we come down the back straight now, just about ready to go green. Full outlap, very unusual for this series. Most sort of tracks you start on the back straight, but Sebring, you have the full outlap. Simon Cowlotz getting right beside Jan Korbs. He wants to get going. Very Max Verstappen-esque, almost touching on the back straight. Starting to race before the race is even started. Down the Ullman straight now towards Sunset Bend we go, as we just start to get ready for 1 hour of Sebring. And Korb there, he is your pace setter. Watch that Porsche, that number 4 car. He can decide when we get underway. The pace car will pull in, which he's done, and Jan Korbs is underway, tries to get the jump on Cowlotz. He's done a great job there so far. Cowlotz will have to tuck in just behind him. He has a little bit of a dive for the inside. We can't do anything. Down the inside there goes Jake Carey. I think he's actually defending from Edward there, so I thought he was making a move, but not at the moment. So Korbs, Cowlotz is your lead in LMP1. In LMP2, all's going on. Great start there from Carroll. Chaste in second. Dawson is fourth with Gutel in third. Down the inside goes the number 23 car. The number 6 car, Blasco, just has to tuck in. Here is your GTE field. Principal doing a great job there. Charvet being eaten up there by one of the Porsches. That is, that's Blaisley. So that's Tom Blaisley getting past Charvet in the Ford GTEs. Not an ideal start there for our lone non-Porsche driver, but all clean so far. Towards the LMP2 field we go. Once again, Tom Hallams here trying to get past the number 12 car of Helen Elber. Elber sort of down the inside, heading towards the great corner of... I've lost my corner names there. Do apologise to Hallams. Time to go around the outside. Oh, so close to contact there. They're still side by side on the exit of the corner, but Elber will just have to pull in behind for try and make another attempt on Hallams in the next corner. Through Tower Bend now, up towards the Le Mans chicane. Can he do anything about it? Can he get past? Can he use the slipstream? Nothing at the moment. All line of sterns. We head through the Le Mans chicane now towards the back straight, over the curb. Just see how unsettled the cars are. As we cross the line for the first time, Jan Korbs is your race leader. Cowlotz second. Jake Carey just behind him in third. Roberto Edwards is fourth. Hugh Braumeister up to fifth, with Austin Korb going down into sixth and last place in the LMP1 field. Great start there from Jan Korbs. There's a little bit of movement there in the GTE field, Chris, and a great clean start there.
Yep, I think we've only just had our first spin, which looks like it's Vincenzo Principe in GTEs. Possibly Sergei Soldatov involved in that as well. But you saw between the LMP2 some very clean battling coming up from basically all the way from the hairpin through to turn 13. Or no, it was even further. It was round to the Le Mans chicane as well, really. But I really liked, as you saw through turn 13, a tower there. You had sort of 3 or 4 LMP2s in a row just trying to step out on the back. It just shows you how hard you have to push, even from lap 1 in these cars. And there are some very deceptively tricky corners on this track to go quickly on, because it's just so difficult to get the power down early and still remain comfortable out of some of these corners. So it will really separate the men from the boys, proverbially, I think, tonight.
I think so too. We're certainly seeing that so far. Heading back towards the action here. This is Vanello, the number 23 car, trying to get past the number 9 car of Dawson. See how much these cars are moving around, under braking at the moment, down towards Tower Corner. Nothing can be done at the moment. So easy to make a mistake at Tower Corner. It's one of the hardest corners on this track. It looks deceptively easy. I can assure you it is not. It's off camber, curb. You can hit the curb very easily. And this is Roman D'Olivo. So he started from the pit and he's just come out. He's a lap down. So he didn't actually start from the pits, Chris. He started from the pits a lap later. So it's almost like a hardware failure or something along those lines.
Well, the timing tower is listing him as having stopped for 24 seconds, which to me that sounds like not a pit start. That sounds like he got hit before we even got going on the parade lap, had to tow, and then had repairs. It's a bit of an odd one. So it'll be interesting if Romain has a chat with us later, maybe explains what happens there. But that's very unfortunate for him. I can't remember exactly on the standings if he's home and clear, but I don't think many of his main rivals are here tonight, and the ones that aren't exactly near the top. I mean, Jerome Charvet's with us every week. He's currently down a position and being challenged by Raimondo Ricci. So it's interesting to see what's going to go on there. And again, it's just, I must say, it's nice to see the Ford. And he did get quite a good exit out there, so now he's challenging Seb.
So Charvet's gone from being challenged to being the challenger, trying to get past Blazely in the Porsche. They go side by side into turn one. Still side by side on the exit. Charvet's going to drift wide as he just takes that much speed. That's going to give the advantage there to Ricky. Can he go up the inside? You just see in the camera there, seeing if he can in the rearview mirror, but he couldn't there. So it's all line of stern there. Blazely, Charvet, Ricky is your second, third, and fourth place. But Charvet really under attack, and you can just see the size difference. You can't see the Ford whenever the Porsches go near. It's just great to see the Ford. It's just, it makes us so happy as commentators and the spectators to see more than just the Porsche out and about. So we salute Jerome Charvet for running the Ford once again in this championship. Carlos on that last lap set the fastest lap in the field. So did Chassanet, so second place driver setting the fastest lap, so quicker than their respective leaders. Not by much, mind, but every bit counts in this race. And this is Simon Cowlotz at the moment, the number 7 car tonight, chasing down the number 4 car, still in that slipstream of that Porsche. He will have better straight line speed and better drive off the corners with that boost, but the Porsche regenerating its battery all throughout the lap, whether you're braking or accelerating. It uses the turbo to just help with that energy recovery. So it does certainly have its advantages there. Just noticing at the back of the LMP2 field, Chris, is that Pietro Scintetto he's had a little bit of an issue. You said that he'd spun, and he's currently running, what is that, for like 10 seconds off the back of the pace, so really not going great for him.
No, and you can just see, look, this is what we say about the bumps of Sebring. You just see on acceleration, the car was still dealing with the bumps. The LMP2, bit of a tank, maybe a suspension not quite as soft as some of the other cars you'll see on the service. And if you're pushing really hard and you're not fully in control of the car, that's something that sometimes happens. Maybe more often than sometimes for some of us. You can see Raimondo Ricci there had a lot more speed going down the straight, but nowhere to really put the car. Had to brake very early for turn one, which, I mean, we saw last lap, it can be an overtaking opportunity, or at least somewhere you go side by side, but it's, you know, if you can't really dive into it. It's really a case of you need to be alongside to work something out into turn two. And currently it looks like Charvet is holding up Richie, but Tom Basley not able to get away quickly enough to prevent Charvet from having the bonus draft that's probably helping keeping Richie behind him at the moment. And also Raymond Verdeliva, I think the timing tower's finally accepted he's actually on the same lap as the rest of the field. He's got past Principe already. He's actually slowly working his way up the GTE field, so that's something we need to keep an eye on. In fact, he's not that far behind Marco Ricci here himself, as the LMP ones are coming through. So far, so cleanly, Seb.
So cleanly indeed. Let's hope we don't put the commentator's curse on anybody. Corbs and Cowlotz separated by 0.3 of a second at the front of the field. This is Edouard there getting past. Cowlotz now right behind his rival of Corbs. Can he make a move into the Le Mans section? We'll have to see. Still got traffic up ahead. That's the number 24 car of A.A. Marston there, as they just dive towards the outside, tries to get past. Will Cowlotz throw it up the inside? Side's better off it on this occasion. They're both now going to be held up by this battle for P2 in the GTE class. Just see how they have to delay getting on that throttle ever so slightly, but they'll have a clean run past all of this traffic down the back straight towards the ever-famous Sunset Bend. Cowlotz there tries to go for the outside. Corbs feels the need to defend towards the inside, which was going to allow Cowlotz to get the better run out of the corner. Can he capitalise on that? They're now side by side on the back straight, but that Porsche speed just helping keep Corbs up ahead. Cowlotz goes down the inside, has a little bit of a look, but can't really make much of it as they get past your race leader of Lars Johansson there, down towards the braking zone of turn 2. Corbs still in the lead. Just behind him is Simon Cowlotz, with Jake Carey now catching up behind as they continue to battle for the lead in LMP1. Down the back straight towards the hairpin now. Can Cowlotz capitalise on that Audi top speed? Doesn't look like he can at the moment. Shows his nose a little bit into the braking zone. Shows that he's there and willing to make a move, but can't get past him. Through the Fangio chicane, up towards Cunningham Corner now. Is there going to be a move here at all? Nothing at the moment. All quiet on the western front in the LMP1 field so far.
Yep, these two drivers know each other really well, so they're going to drive cleanly. Maybe a cynic would suggest, because Simon Cowlotz has the championship wrapped up already, that he could get up to something naughty to secure the win, but it's not the kind of driver he is. But I think he might be looking for certainly some vengeance on last week's incident, because he was the main loser from that. And there's Marco Ricci losing the rear through the corner and just getting bumped. Probably not a huge amount the other GT could have done there. And it looks like Ricci has decided to tow, which is a shame, because that was probably recoverable from. And Raimondo Ricci, it looks like, has managed to get past Charvet, and that will be why. So much for us saying the Ford is handling the bumps better, because it looks like all that pressure finally paid off for Raimondo.
Disaster there for Charvet, losing it under pressure as we head back towards this battle for P1. Cowlotz dives towards the inside. He has the tighter line. He'll have better exit speed, but that Porsche just manages to keep the extra speed around the outside. I was sort of surprised to see how much grip that Porsche has. So Corb's still in the lead, but as we just saw that replay disaster for Jerome Charvet, down to 4th place now. He, of course, started in second, so really not had a great opening 11 minutes of this race, but still 49.5 minutes to go, so anything can happen, as we've seen in many other races. It certainly does. But this Cowlotz-Corbs battle still going very well. You're right, I think Simon Cowlotz maybe a little bit less sort of feeling the pressure, as he has wrapped up the Broadcast Split Championship, so he doesn't have to win the race, but we still have iRacing and safety rating on the line here, so it's not like you can sort of throw caution to the wind. And of course, you're right, Simon Cowlotz is a driver that prides himself on being cautious and racing cleanly. And I think this is great when you get sort of a race like this in the top of any split, any race, when you're racing somebody that's similar pace to you. And actually, Jake Carey there catching up. He was about 5 tenths quicker than the leader on that last lap. So Jake Carey could be sort of in with a chance if Corbs and Cowlotz continue to hold each other up and battle away. Carey could be sort of an outsider here to take the lead, at least for this portion of the race. Here is David Guttel, the number 16 LMP2, going very deep into the hairpin actually, and that's allowed Andrew Dawson right behind him just to gain a little bit of time in the hairpin, just showing how slidey these cars are. Of course, we're at a track temperature of 38 degrees, so really high and certainly not providing a lot of grip. On board with Dawson now, as you can just see how bumpy this track truly is, and how many repairs have had to be made to this track, just as it's of course it's a disused World War II airport, so got all the characteristics of an airport. It's windy and it's very bumpy. Of course, over the years it's taken its toll, but it's provided some great racing at the same time, certainly adding to that. Through the Le Mans chicane towards the final corner as we head onto the back straight. This is Charvet now trying to get past Ricky. Can he do anything about it? No, not at this point. He's going to have to tuck in behind Ricky once again, but we saw these drivers racing, albeit Jerome Charvet was ahead just a few laps ago. And just to sort of compound Charvet's issues, he's got Marston right behind him there, Chris, and Charvet hasn't really had a clear run at overtaking people. He's always having to look in his rearview mirror.
It's quite an unfortunate thing, and it's just one of those situations you sometimes find yourself in. If you lose one position near the start of the race, and then you're fighting to get that back, but it just allows the person behind back in as this Cowlotz battle continues. But yeah, if you're sandwiched in the middle, it's really awkward because you're modifying your braking for the car in front, but you've got to keep considering the car behind you as well. And it's a lot to think about at the same time as still trying to, these guys are lapping very, very quickly, as yet again it looks like the outside line into turn 1, at least in the LMP1s, seems to be better, but Cowlotz has got the inside here. And is he going to get that move done? No, it's Curbs again. Oh, I mean, this is still going, so we shouldn't say definitively it's happened or not. Curbs is on the right-hand side of the screen here, so he's going to have the inside line into the hairpin. That, I think, is probably going to keep him in the position, but we need to wait and see.
So incredible racing here from Cowlotz and Curbs. They're still side by side as we exit their hairpin. They've been side by side for half a lap at this point through the Fangio chicane. still side by side towards Cunningham Corner. Carlos just pulls ahead. Will Corpse feel the need to dive it up the inside? No, he just sort of plays the long game, sort of tries to go around the outside, but incredible move from Carlos. That started all the way back at Sunset Bend, and it took until Cunningham Corner to get the move done. But great defence there from Jan Corpse. He certainly won't be giving that up lightly, but incredible racing there, Chris.
That was fantastic from both guys. They left so much space, and yes, Jake Carey is now right behind Jan Curbs, but it's not as though he caught up a huge amount. The thing that might actually help out a bit here now is we are catching the back of the LMP2 traffic, and it looks like that's just saved Jan Curbs from having to deal with Jake Carey in this battle just for now. And I think it may have held up Simon Cowlarts by a few tenths as well, which is very convenient for Curbs because it's kept him within draft range. Just before the Le Mans chicane, he was about 1.2 seconds behind, and you can see he's closed back up a little bit. And it's going to be interesting to see how they now all deal with the traffic, because they've got the battle they're in to consider as well. And I mean, Roberto Eduard isn't exactly out of that battle either. And of course, one other problem we're going to have when they catch up to the LMP2s at the front is you can see on the timer screen there, the top 7 are within 5 seconds of each other, so they're not going to want to concede their track positions too much, and that's while they're lapping the GTs. It's the constant 20-minute problem we see every week, where it's just incredibly difficult to manage the traffic when they're all in that 1/3 of the track.
It certainly is, and just to sort of add to that point there, Chassenay, the number 11 car, dived down the inside of one of the back marker Porsches, and I had to step back from my screen because I was sure there was going to be some collision, but they all managed to get through the hairpin. But I think a change of underwear might be required for the Porsche. I think you have to sort of turn out, and certainly would have been set in that cockpit. So yeah, it's not every race talk about the 20-minute problem, and it's certainly here today. Just have a look at the track map and just see how sort of grouped everybody is together on the back straight. They're coming through the sort of Le Mans section onto the back straight, and they're all grouped very much together, and this is going to prove really crucial for Cowlarts and Corpse, is who can get through the LMP2 traffic better and quicker. We've seen Cowlarts be really, really good through traffic, but can Corpse sort of come with Cowlarts, and can he sort of use Cowlarts' sort of ability to get through traffic to Corpse advantage and just sort of follow him through? And Cowlarts doing a great job there through Sunset Bend. The gap is now up to 1.3, so Cowlarts doing a great job so far, as we see cars here, there and everywhere on the back straight, ducking and diving and trying to sort of find their own position in the race. And Cowlarts once again proving that he is just great at getting through traffic. And actually Corpse is now coming under quite a lot of pressure there from Carey. You see him just lurking behind the Porsche there. So really close stuff in the LMP1 field. Down the back straight they go towards the hairpin now. Who is going to be ahead? Well, the Porsche's just managed to hold out a little bit of advantage, but Carey brakes so much later. Almost a collision there, Chris, but he'll just managed to make it round the corner once again, and this is great news for Cowlarts. Now 2.1 seconds to gap.
Yep, it's a very familiar sight for those of us who've been watching these races, is that Cowlarts will be neck and neck with someone before we hit traffic, and then by the time we get out of the traffic, he's somehow miles down the road in the lead. And it's clearly a skill, but equally some of it is just you have to be in the right time at the right place. And I think you see it on the last corner here at Sunset Bend. If you catch up with the slower cars at the wrong time and you're not able to get at least alongside them into the corner, you can lose so much time down the straight where you just can't, you've had to wait to get back onto full throttle. And you can see we're going 3 wide here into Le Mans. To be honest, I'm surprised that's ended with no one fully off the grass. That was, that's, I think, some more underwear changes required amongst the field here. You can see there's about 8 cars in the space of 4 car lengths there, and mercifully no accidents so far, but there's plenty of time for these drivers to try and prove us wrong about the safety of everyone involved.
Charvet and Ricky involved in a little kerfuffle at the Le Mans corner. They were 4 wide on the back straight. We're trying to sort of shuffle positions. Absolute great driving from everybody involved, but nobody sort of speared off, and we haven't seen an upside down LMP2 or LMP1 like we saw 1 week ago at Monza. Of course, you can check out the clip on the YouTube channel if you haven't watched that. It's something very special, we'll call it. The number 9 car there trying to get past the number 6 car there. Andrew Dawson trying to get past Blasco there, down the back straight in the slipstream, but right behind him, he's got the number 23 car. Right behind the number 23 car, we've got Daniel Zimmer, and the number 17 car, Dennis Zimmer, either down the inside goes the number 6 car of Dawson. Sorry, Dawson's defending from Bonello there. Great racing all around so far in the LMP2 field. LMP1 field as well. Just sort of sorted itself out. So the closest battle is this one on track. The 23 car now defending from the number 17 car. Very late on the brakes. Did very well to get that all slowed down. Somehow the number 23 car managed to stick it out around the outside to maintain that position. But for a minute, I'm pretty sure Dennis Zimmer was going to be heading into the back of one of those one of those LMP2s, if not all of them. Here is a Porsche GTE. Just gets out of the way. Just goes to show how full on this race really is, and they've got a little bit of a breather now, as you can see on the map, but not for long. They're going to be catching up a few more GTEs in just a few corners time, and this gaggle of 4 LMP2s will be surely wanting to get past those as quickly as possible. Here is Roman Verdolivo, the number 3 car, our championship leader. He's up 2 places in 7th place, and of course he's up more places because he started from the pits. He's currently trying to get past Jorge Camo down towards Sunset Bend. He's going to move on the brakes a little bit later, get the nose turned in. Great move from him. Just see a little down with the brakes there, mid-apex, just to get the nose to fully commit. There's an LMP1 in the background. We'll need to be very careful just to sort of navigate these as quickly as possible. That's Austin Cobb there. Just get past him very nicely indeed. So 6th place now for Verdolivo, and we think that if Verdolivo is to win the championship in the GTE class, he needs to finish ahead of Jerome Charvet. Now, you might think that that's sort of quite it's not realistic, but Verdolivo is only a few seconds off Charvet, Chris.
Yep, and if you look at his fastest lap time, it's 1.5 seconds quicker than Charvet, so the raw pace is definitely there. I mean, if you take Mads Johansson out of the picture, Romain Verdolivo's fastest lap is almost a second quicker than anyone else in the GTE field. Now, I think it's slightly disingenuous for me to take out the guy that's in the lead of the field by 11 seconds, but you know, there's 2 drivers in that field today who seem to be in a class of their own pace-wise, and it's probably to Mads's advantage that Romain started at the back, because I think there would have been a very interesting battle going on there had they been side by side, like we've seen really in the other 2 classes. Because if you can see, Jan Kurbs, just sort of highlight how good his overall pace is. He's dropped Jake Carey, who's now in the clutches of Roberto Edouard, and Kurbs is back up to within 2 seconds of Cowlart. So, and you can see there, Carey's had a very dodgy exit into the corner there, and Edouard's really making this pressure count right now.
It really is, yeah, sort of turnaround there for Carey. Saying racing course, but now defending from Edouard. He was looking mighty quick at this phase of the race. He's side by side already with Jake Carey down towards the braking zone. He doesn't even need to do it under brakes. He's done it. Oh no, you had that move done, Roberto, but just broke a little bit too late. Locked one of the wheels, and in this Audi LMP1 car, once you lock one wheel, you lock both wheels, and you are destined to not make the apex and normally not make the corner. So he did well to actually get around the corner without touching the grass. Dennis Zimmer now still trying to get past Alves Bonello there towards the braking zone of the hairpin. Can't really do anything at the moment. They dropped off the little battle up ahead between Dawson and Blasco there, so that's going to leave Bonello a little bit more vulnerable, because he won't have the slipstream down the straight, so he'll lose that advantage in terms of defense. So can Zimmer capitalize on that? We'll have to see when we head down towards the sunset corner. But that Corbs Cowlots battle is just caught my eye, Chris. It is coming down ever so slightly, and we don't normally see Cowlots sort of losing time to anybody. So Corbs is looking mighty quick tonight.
No, but if you're going to lose time to anyone, it will be a driver of the calibre of Jan Kurbs, and it's I mean, they are very similarly paced drivers. I do find the LMP2 field, though, it's very interesting battles all the way through. Because I mean, we've talked about the Blasco Dawson one, we talked about the Bonello Zimmer one, but there's also a 3-way battle developing between Aston Egelmeers in 8th and Tom Hallams and Maxim Zivevsky behind him. And it's a bit interesting in that if you're leading one of these trains, especially the 2nd or 3rd one, you can see the drivers not that far up ahead of the road. So you're sort of desperately hoping that the drivers behind you don't fight too hard. I mean, for example, if you're Elvis Bonello, you don't want Dennis Zimmer to be costing you too much time, because Andrew Dawson is not that far behind you. And yet, you know, I think at the moment, Glasgow and Dawson are probably the two closest, two likeliest to fight in that LMP2 battle. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on throughout the LMP2 field. But of course, the main people that's going to benefit is Owen Carroll, Julien Chassenet and David Gutel, who are a little bit further ahead and in clear air at the moment. So it's a very, very competitive LMP2 field at the moment. And here we go with Aston Eaglemeers, and he's in that battle with Hallams and Zuewski.
Indeed, we just saw Roman Verdelipa get past another car, so he is right behind his championship rival now of Jerome Charvet. So we'll keep an eye on that battle. Aston Eaglemeers here, just managing to extend the gap from Hallams there. The use of he used the LMP1 to his great advantage there, but Canavan does half of his work there by lighting up the rear tyres on the exit of Collier curve there. So not a great way to treat your tyres, and that's really going to become a story towards the end of this race, with the track temperature being so high here tonight. Really going to test these drivers' tyre management skills and tyre management setup choices. You know, have people taken into consideration the hot tyre, the hot track temps? Only time will tell. Three-way GTE battle, though, between Ricky, Charvet and Verdelivo now, all really heating up. This is for third place in the class, with Martin right behind them as well, so don't count him out if any of these make a mistake, or if this battle continues for a few more corners. Through Tower Corner, all of them driving wide, each slightly wider than each other. Charvet off the road, Verdelivo off the road, and Martin going, I can go off the road just a little bit more than both of you combined, and it shows how much they're pushing, Chris.
I mean, we saw on the first lap with the LMP2s all sort of sliding out of tower there, and you can see the GTEs they've got a little bit more stability and a little less power on acceleration, so they can afford to take a bit more of that grass and it not be chaos. But you can see here, I think that's Hallams getting past Eaglemeers. Eaglemeers clearly pushing really hard. You can see him nearly lose it on the exit, and he would have done very well to keep hold of that car coming out of the final turn of the Sunset Bend, but it has allowed Hallams through. And of course, as we were saying earlier, the problem with Charvet is having now is you lose one position. If there's a guy right behind you, you can't exactly rest on your laurels. You've got a lot of defending to do, and you can see with them, Verdelivo's going for it on the inside here, and I think he's got it done, because at one point it looked like Charvet would defend that with Ricky going wide as well. This is going to bunch them up.
Verdelivo's he's going to see if he can get two positions in two corners side by side with Ricky through this little infill section there. Charvet already down one position. Will they make it three wide on the back straight? Incredible racing. Charvet now side by side with his championship rival Verdelivo towards the hairpin. Charvet boxed in there by the Porsches, hoping that the Porsche brakes just a little bit later, which he does. They're still side by side in the hairpin now. Charvet still trying to get past Verdelivo. The LMP1 of Carlot still trying to get past. Corbs is also pitted while this is all going on, so drama up and down the field at the moment. They're still side by side as we head towards Cunningham Corner now. Verdelivo tries to go around the long way round, but Charvet just still tries to keep a nose in. I think he's just going to lose out to the position. So Verdelivo is past Jerome Charvet. As we head through Tower Corner, it's Ricky, Verdelivo, Charvet, Manson and Carmo just behind, just sort of watching this battle develop and thinking, I'd quite like a piece of that action. Again, we have a look at Verdelivo trying to get past Ricky and up to third place, and maybe with his pace being what it has been so far, can he go for second? Can he hunt down and trap Baisley? Well, he's going to have to get past Ricky first, but he's got so much of a better exit out of Le Mans curve there. He's going to have such a great run down the back straight. You need to be a little bit aware of the LMP1s coming up behind him, but that's not going to bother him too much, as he's going to brake that a little bit later and take that third position. Baisley, though, will try and fight it round the outside, but that will leave him vulnerable towards Charvet in the background. They're in the slipstream again, and Ricky pulls out to try and get past Verdelivo. Charvet wants a little bit of that action too. They're still side by side as we head into turn one. Verdelivo has the high ground of the inside line, but Ricky gets the cutback, but can't really do much about it. But he has a little bit of a dive into turn two, locks up, goes off the track. Far too late on the brakes for him. Oh, it's so close to an accident there for Jorge. Carmo just almost getting involved, and he's going to try and get past Ricky there, but great racing. It's sad to see it end like that for Ricky, but you can't deny Verdelivo's pace at the moment.
think that lap we saw from those 4 GTEs might be the highest quality driving we've had all season, because up until that late braking into turn 2, there wasn't even the barest hint of a crash happening, I felt, and that's including the fact that Simon Cowlitz has to try and get around them all as well. But a very understandably cross Jorge Carmo nearly getting taken out by the rejoining Ricky. And I do actually wonder, with Jan Kurbs pitting and not having to deal with overtaking all of these people on this lap, is that going to play into his hands when we get back to Simon Cowlitz's pit stop a little bit later into the race? Because we're quite early into the pit window, we're only half an hour into this race, or not even quite half an hour into the race. So I mean, Jorge had plenty of time to react here, but I think I feel like Richie could probably have kept a bit more space there, but equally Carmo had a lot of time to react to the fact the car was coming, and I can see why it's crossed, but equally that was kind of an easy thing to get round. I mean, it's easy for me to say that's easy. I'm sat in my commentary booth, not driving, but I don't know. I understand why the driver's frustrated, because he feels that was an easy pass for him, and actually he has got the no, sorry, he's not. He's still behind Richie. But Verdelivo, it'll be interesting to see if he's got the raw pace that he just gets away from Charvet and Marston now. And like you say, he's not hugely far behind Basley with half of this race left to go. 10 seconds is not a gap I would expect him to be completely unable to deal with. His fastest lap is nearly a full second quicker than Tom Basley's fastest lap, which when you consider, Tom Basley, not a slow driver, you can't be slow if you've got nearly 5,000 rating. Just really puts into context just how quick Romain Verdelivo is being tonight.
He certainly is. Keep a very close eye on that gap to see if he can sort of close down that gap in the latter stages of the race. Just under half an hour to go in this race, so we're just over half distance as we resume this battle between Dawson and Blasco. Dawson still trying to get past the number 6 car of Blasco. Hasn't been able to do much about it so far, and actually Alvis Bonello there just catching up in the background and bringing Zimmer along with him. So certainly going to be a battle that is going to continue, and we might start to see some of these drivers diving towards the pit lane just to sort of get out of the traffic and to see if they can undercut some of their drivers ahead. The number 17 car in the background there is a perfect contender. But just sort of taking a gamble in the pits and hoping that these three sort of hold themselves up just enough that you can get past them and you're on your merry way in 4th place. Of course, if you're Zimmer, you're in 7th, but you can see 4th place up ahead of you, and it's such an encouragement in the car. It gives you, you can almost feel like you're driving like a 10th or 2 quicker a lap just by that feeling of maybe getting a good result. So it certainly really does help, and it's just sort of one of the elements of psychology that goes into racing, and I find it all also fascinating. Also, I find fascinating is this battle between Kerry and Edward. We're having a look at Braumeister at the moment. He's made the switch from his usual LMP2 car to the more scary, I think we'll put it, LMP1 car. He's got more buttons to play with on his steering wheel, boost buttons and regen to think about, and it's certainly a very interesting switch, but good to see him in 4th place so far. Back to this Andrew Dawson fight. Just caught up a little bit more to Blasco now, 3/10 behind him as we head to complete another lap of this Sebring circuit down towards turn 1. Can he do anything about it? Doesn't feel the need to send it towards the inside or even show that he's there, so he knows that Blasco is under pressure towards turn 2, where we've seen many a late braking manoeuvre in the past, but everybody gets it stopped. Actually, Dawson goes a little bit wide through the sort of middle part of the complex there, and loses a little bit of time to Blasco down the back straight through Gurney Bend towards the hairpin. And actually, I think Dawson's a little bit more under pressure from Bonelli than he is to Blasco there. Looking more in his mirrors than he is towards the front of that car, and you just see Bonelli there just gaining and gaining again, all within a second. This little battle with Zimmer not far behind them at all, and Chris, it's so difficult to run in. There's Bonelli goes a little bit wide and sort of loses quite a lot of time actually, but it goes to show what I was about to say is it's so hard to drive it in packs like this, especially if you're the 3rd car behind.
Yeah, and I think similar to the GTE battle we saw earlier, these guys are making it look really easy when, like you say, it's a really difficult skill. And yeah, here's Carmo trying to get revenge on Ricky for the earlier near contact, and he's got the inside into Sunset. He's looking the favourite, but we have seen plenty of moves, or at least plenty of defences around the outside of several corners so far this race. But nope, it looks like Jorge Carmo so far has that 6th position sealed up, but Ricky's going to want that back as soon as possible. Might well have got a better entrix out the back. He's got Owen Carroll in the background about to lap them, and yep, Richie's gone for it again. Is it Carmo's turn to not be able to do this around the outside? And yep, that's a very short-lived 6th position for Carmo. And that's a very close gap between the two of them. Owen Carroll managing to get through nice and safely. But yeah, it's like you're saying, Seb, about trying to stay in these trains. It's hard enough to do it as a single class, but let alone having to think about the other classes trying to come through. And it does, however, look like we've hit the LMP2 pit window. And Simon Cowlarts has also pitted from the lead of LMP1. So time to start seeing whose strategy is going to pay off.
Part of the race, this is what we love the most, sort of seeing what's going to happen, so we can see who's pitted. You just see, so Jan Korbs has pitted lap 16, Kerry and Cowlarts pitted on lap 21. As we look back onto the track, down the inside goes the number 11 car, past Ricky there. Carmo trying to use that to his advantage, but can't. They're bumper to tail there, so we head down towards Tower Corner once again. Nothing can be done through Tower Corner. Takes a little bit of curve there, does Carmo, really pushing that, as it looks like Cowlarts has got up ahead of Jan Korbs, and Kerry is 3rd. So status quo definitely resumed at the front. We see that gap, just a 2.5 separates Cowlarts and Korbs. Of course, they are your net race leaders, although Edouard has managed to extend his stint by at least 1 lap, so he is the race leader, but still has to pit in this race. Also noticed that we had a few LMP2 pitters as well, Chris. So Dennis Zimmer and Blasco were pitted last lap. They were involved, of course, in that 4-way battle. So Chassenet in the pits and David Gutel in the pits as well, like that. Bonello as well, as he just pops up on my timing stream. Dawson and Carroll still out on circuit along with Hallam, so really interesting to see where this all sort of plays out, as everybody will end up making their pit stop. It you can sort of see if you can sort of gain a little bit by stopping early and getting into some clean air, but it doesn't really look like there's too much clean air out of there if you look at the track map there, Chris.
No, although I suppose for those LMP2s as they're about to make their way out, if Cowlarts and Curbs can clear them, then actually, you know, they don't have to worry too much about those green or blue dots behind, because they won't be going any quicker. Although I say this, and it looks like P11 Nick Phillips might well be getting out there. As we're looking on screen with Dennis Zimmer now, you can see he's got Blasco for company, and he's going to try and go around the outside here. Is it going to work for him? And as we have a rejoin as well. Oh, that could be spicy. Number 23. That is Austin. Oh no, it's not Austin Club. Sorry, that is Bonello, and this is for position. So Bonello's lost out there. Not a huge amount he could have done there. That, as we see, someone's off there, and contact
there for Dennis Zimmer. He had such a great start. I was just about to say how pitting that lap earlier gained him 2 positions. As we have a look at Essen Egelmeyers here, locks up into turn 2. Nothing he can really do about that, and has to take the long and very slow join back to the track over the grass, the very, very slippy grass. And anybody that's been out there at this track can certainly attest to how easy it is to end up in the barrier. So not a great start there for Egelmeyers, but we saw the Zimmer crash, and let's have a replay of it now. We're just going to see down the inside goes the number 6 car. So that's got Alberto Blasco, and unfortunately for Zimmer, he comes off much worse. But yeah, that almost played into Zimmer's hands perfectly. He got past Bonello and Blasco there, and it was just really working in his favour. You know, we were just sort of saying a few laps ago, Cripps, that he was, you know, sort of he was falling off the back of this pack, and all of a sudden he was sort of leading it. So to be pretty upset.
Yeah, and it's a shame. So that's really the first bit of properly untidy driving we've seen tonight, and it's not often we can get nearly 40 minutes into a race and be able to say that. So it really is a testament to the general quality of the field tonight. And also, I mean, that reflects the amount of retirements we've had, i.e. It's just the one, which is Marco Ricci, and he could probably have carried on. It's just that frustration of he dropped 7 places because of that contact earlier in the race. But this Pinello-Blasco battle is going to continue on, and Zimmer might well be able to catch them back up. He's not exactly that far behind. He's only 3 seconds down, but he does have Alan Albert for company, and there's someone off track there. That's Roberto Eduard, so we can go to replay and see what happened to him, and that's big shunt from number 16.
Yeah, there's more people involved in that as well. There is the number 11 car, and I think Jake Carey also caught up in that. So, yeah, another piece of untidy driving, I think we'll call that, Chris. So, yeah, it's all sort of happening. We've seen this so many times that, you know, when sort of one incident happens, sort of many more just follow on. As we can have a look again. So this is Eduard going down the insides, losing the rear, and that catches the LMP2 off guard, which then just caused sort of a concertina effect, and that's a very unhappy looking Audi LMP1 there.
Yep, and it's a bit of an interesting one because I think it was a little bit of a lunge, but I guess the car then following didn't quite anticipate just how much speed would have been scrubbed off of those tyres from going in for quite that lunge, and it's a shame that that's affected 4 cars because it's certainly not the most egregious mistake we've ever seen, but you know, similar to last week, one innocuous mistake can lead to severe consequences. But that's of a major benefit to Tom Hallams, who, I suppose that's actually because of his pit window. I was going to say he was up 7 positions, but he's actually, along with Owen Carroll, managed to stay out a little bit longer. If Owen Carroll had any damage from earlier, although I don't believe he was involved, then he didn't stop for any pitting with that. And yet this is David Goodall back up to 3rd and right in this battle with Dawson for the 2nd step on the podium. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins out from this. It's sort of bubbled under so far, I would say. But as we get to the later stage of the races, surely it's going to start heating up.
It certainly is. So with about 20 minutes left to go, we'll just have a quick run down. Actually, before we do that, Chris, so Julian Chassenet was involved in that incident. He's currently in the pits and not going anywhere, along with Jake Carey as well. He is also in the pits getting his damage repaired. So really, let's have a look and see what's happened to Chassenet.
Yeah, I think there was enough damage from earlier in that incident. He's crabbing a bit, and he's done the sensible thing and towed, which is what we like to see, because it just, you know, it's considerate driving. It means he's not going to be affecting anyone else's race, which is I think more common than people give credit for in iRacing, but we could always use more incidences of people thinking about their fellow drivers.
I think it's really good driving there from Chassenet. So let's have a look at your LMP1 field. Simon Cowlot's there. 2.5 seconds gap to Jan Korbs in 2nd. Great job by Cowlot. Of course, made that move earlier on in the race. He's managed to keep that lead ever since, with Korbs just behind him in the Porsche LMP1, the only Porsche in the LMP1 class tonight, but doing a great job there. The number 4 car still almost catching, almost keeping pace with Cowlot. They're sort of exchanging faster lap times. Eduard is 3rd, who was, of course, involved in that incident we saw a few laps ago into turn 2, but he's come off fairly okay. You see a little bit of damage to the rear of the car, but nothing too bad. Hughes Braumeister up to 4th place after Jake Carey was involved in that incident and has had to come into the pits for damage. So he is up to 4th place there. He's being taken out by the number 19 car there, with Austin Cobb in 5th. And unfortunately, last for him in the LMP1 field, but he is 5th in class, with Carey in 6th, who's actually just leaving the pits there. So he is clearly wanting to go out and about once again.
You know, you never know, something could happen to some of the other drivers. It's not all lost. He's only a lap down, I think, on the leaders. And yeah, all that will take is if Cowlots and Korbs get too silly with each other, they'll get damaged. But we can have a look at the LMP2 standings here. So Aaron Carroll, very clean race for him so far. Out in the lead, nearly 15-second gap back to Andrew Dawson, who is currently getting the better of David Goodall in this battle for 2nd, and like we were saying earlier, hopefully it's going to start picking up soon, because 2nd is a big accolade in the strength of field we've got today. Tom Hallams, he's had a very good race, pretty quietly going about his business. He started in 9th, he is up to 4th now, gained quite well from pitting a bit later, and he's ahead of Alberto Blasco, who we saw earlier have that tap with, I believe it was Zimmer, wasn't it? And he has benefited from that. He's in P5. Benello currently in P6, just behind, and you can see him in the background there, the number 17 of Zimmer, the victim of that tap earlier. He's still in 7th, which is where he started, so it's not too bad. Following him then is Maxim Zuewski. He is up 4. He started 11th, 12th actually, back of the entire field. He's doing all right. And Aston Nagelmiers, who's had a pretty solid race, bar 1 or 2 adventures into the grass, but he's still going nicely. He's in 9th. He still make up places, as could Alan Albert, who is, yeah, he's been here too. He's having a very Chris Rowlands style race, just sort of trundling around at the back. And Pietro Schettino, who had a very early off and has actually recovered reasonably well in terms of time to the guys in front. But again, it's been quite a lonely race for him, with Julien Chastanet, as it looks like, having had to retire after getting involved in that incident into turn 3 earlier in the race.
See your GTE leader, Mads Johansson, there in first after pitting. Everybody in the GTE field has pitted now, with Mads in the lead. Baisley in 2nd place with a 5-second gap to Verdolivo, who's come through the field. It was 10 seconds before the pit stop, so he's managed to gain 5 seconds. So we might see that battle develop as we head into the final 15 minutes of this race. Here's Roman Verdolivo, the one who is catching him. Jerome Charvet in 4th, our only non-Porsche driver, been beaten up a little bit. He feels a little bit bullied by the Porsches out on track, but doing a great job in 4th place. Marston is 5th in the number 24 Porsche. Great job from him. Quite a quiet race yet again, but great points for him. Raimondo Ricci in 6th place. It's been a little bit of a difficult race for him, been pushed out wide, and of course, a little bit of opposite lock there into Tower Bench, proving that that car is still definitely on edge, with yours, Carmo, there in 7th. That car's got a little bit of damage, not looking super happy, and of course we saw him get very close to Ricci into turn 2. Vincento Principal is 8th, the number 10 Porsche, with a very damaged rear wing there, so another car that's been in the wars this race so far. But 8th place, about 2nd behind Carmo, about 2 seconds off Ricci, so still definitely got he's definitely within range to make a few more overtakes, so we'll keep an eye on that as we see actually a race leader get past him. Sergei Solotov is 9th place, with the number 28 car, just heads onto the back straight there. A little bit of a race of his own. Just behind him, he's got Murray, who you see is that red car in the background there. So really got quite a big gap, about 6 seconds. And our final GTE runner is Nick Phillips, who might look like he's ahead of Murray, but he is in fact a lap down. So really in a race of his own, but just going out there, lapping around and gaining that sweet safety rating, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly worth doing, and you know, you might not be running the Sebring 12 hours, or Sebring, I'm not sure where Sebring came from. You know, you won't be running it in a GTE, but this is still valuable track time on a track if you are potentially looking at running in the 12 hour. And yeah, also seeing Simon Cowlart's here, very assertive lapping of Jerome Charvet there, but good use of the headlights just to communicate exactly what's happening. It does feel like he's had all of the answers for anything Jan Kurbs has been able to throw at him in the second half of this race, but far be it from us to count him out when he's only a second behind with 12.5 minutes still to go. But if I was the betting man, right now I'd be putting it on Cowlart's to win the race there. But it's the closest we've got to having a battle for a lead here, although if anything happens to Owen Carroll, then this battle could well be a battle for the lead. But again, Dawson and Gutel, they've been very sensible so far. They've not really put any attacking moves in. Now that might be that they're cooperating, it might just be that they're both lapping about as quick as they possibly can. It just so happens that their paces are nearly identical, but you do wonder, is Gutel gonna go for a desperate lunge later in the race perhaps?
Yeah, we'll have to see. Let's have a look at Carmo's pass on Ricci. He's managed to get past his fellow compatriot there. Ooh, very wide there. It wasn't really an overtake so much as a little bit of a mistake there from Ricci, and a little bit of an unsafe rejoin there, the number 10 car. Not very happy with that. That's Vincenzo Principal there. So, yeah, Ricci wasn't an unsafe rejoin, but certainly wasn't the safest I've seen. I think we'll say, Chris.
No, I guess the Le Mans chicane, it can be a bit tricky to rejoin there at the best of times, and some people it's not in their nature to wait for people to go past, which I guess when you think about it in the terms that every position matters, I can understand that. And in a results-based way of looking at it is no one actually had any contact, so therefore it was clearly fine. Not sure I 100% agree with that line of thinking, but I think a lot of racing drivers will look at it that way. But it'll be interesting to see if Principe can get past Ricky. They're both carrying a bit of damage, although visually it does seem like Principe is a little bit worse off. That rear wing, probably not in its most aerodynamically efficient position, it's fair to say, but he does seem to have a bit of a pace advantage over Ricky at the moment, and perhaps he can take advantage of the LMP1 getting past him in a second, although I don't believe they're going to actually get in the way at all. We'll see, but so far no opportunity has presented itself for Principe just yet.
A little bit of an opportunity there. Ricky running a little bit wide out of tower. We've seen a lot of drivers do that tonight. I'll add another one to the list, but yeah, that car not looking so good for the number 10 there. Very bent wing, but actually Ricky's managed to catch up to Carmo there, so this is now back to being a three-way battle with Ricky really looking like he's got the upper hand. Better exit onto the back straight. Can he sort of utilise that and go down the inside towards sunset? We go, but great racing here throughout. We're now down to the final 10 minutes of this race. We've been racing for 50 minutes, but Carmo just breaks out a little bit later, gets the car stopped. See how bouncy it is through a sunset towards the start-finish line. It's all line of stern. Ricky is just behind Carmo, as Penske just catching up behind. Look at Ricky trying to sort of dive towards the inside, trying to unsettle Carmo, but can't really do anything about it. Certainly can't sort of go to Carmo into a mistake. Just see sort of how they sort of move under braking. It's really, you're trying to sort of distract the driver, but it's clearly not working, and it does cost you time. So you only really should do it if it's working. But saying that, Carmo running a little bit wide on the exit there, and that's certainly not going to help his top speed. We've got an LMP1 trying to get past the both of them. Ricky pulls towards the inside. He's going to try and late move under brakes. Can't get it done. Carmo just pulls in up ahead. Great racing at the front in the GTE field, Chris.
Yep, I don't mind that. That's pretty sensible driving. Anything you can do to get a slight psychological edge, maybe put a bit of doubt in the driver in front's mind, just as to exactly when you're going to make that move. And it's all been clean so far in this battle. Sometimes that psychological warfare at this top level of motorsport is the only way you can get around some people. And we can see, Jerome Charvet, a little bit of grass. The second time he's done that. Is he going to get tangled up in the Carmo-Ricky Principe battle? I believe he's pretty safe from them, but it does look like he's lost another position, this time to AJ Marston, who I think he might now actually be battling himself. So it's been a busy old race for Jerome, but he's still the lead Ford, so there's always that.
There's always that, and I think he'll be clinging on to that. It's certainly been a race to forget, but qualifying to remember. Certainly a tale of two halves, but you always prefer it to be the other way around. Difficult qualifying made up contrasted with a great race. This battle for the lead though in LMP1 certainly hotting up as we head towards the final 7.5 minutes of this race. Cowlot's now under pressure from Corbs. You see Corbs just flashing his lights, trying to get the LMP2 to move out of the way, which he does. They're side by side a little bit. That's Zimmer there in the LMP2, so really actually helped out Corbs there, and certainly hindered Cowlotz, who feels the need to weave down the back straight. He's made one move, he's going to make a second move now towards the inside, and Corbs doesn't really feel like catching up, doesn't feel like using his boost to great effect at the moment. Through Sunset Bend we go once again as we start another great lap here at Sebring. Lots of traffic up ahead though for these two to traverse. We've got LMP2s and a few GTEs mixed in there for good measure. Corbs desperately flashing his lights, trying to get past the number 23 LMP2, which he does into turn one. That has certainly lost him a little bit of time though. Cowlot's there flashing the lights a little bit in vain there. I don't think the LMP2 really could have done much to get past him, but as an LMP1 driver I certainly empathise with him wanting that that number 6 LMP2 just to move as quickly as he can down towards the back straight now. As we see, we've got 2 GTEs and LMP2 up ahead for this lead battle to contend with towards the hairpin. Everybody looking good so far. Carlott's now around the outside of the first Porsche. He's going to get the second Porsche in towards the braking zone. He's going to get past all 3. Oh, Corb's very late move. He's managed to get past the GTE, but unfortunately for him, hasn't managed to get past the LMP2. Will have to stick behind him through Cunningham and Collier. He gets past him, but that's lost him a few crucial tenths of a second. All clear on the traffic front now, at least for a few corners. I say there is an LMP2 up ahead, but compared to what they've had to go through this lap, it's all looking fairly clean on track so far. Through the Le Mans chicane now, anything can be done. Corb's visibly quicker, so much more grip, but I think we're going to see Carlott's just sort of boost away just to see that Audi boost in effect. But Corb's certainly looking quicker through the corners, Chris.
He just looks a lot more in control of that car at the moment. And when you can factor in as well the fact he's the one with the dirty air because he's following another car, and these LMP1s rely a little bit more on aerodynamics. Oh, and he's pushing so hard, nearly off on the final corner there. Doesn't seem to have lost himself too much time. And the all-important thing is, so far, the traffic isn't making him get out of drafting range, but we are rapidly running out of time to see a move go ahead. We have probably got 3 laps left, including this one. I think it's going to be quite a close one today. It'll be interesting to see if anyone's taken any risks with fuel if we do that extra lap. Are we going to see some people running out or have to fuel save? Because that could scupper some of these battles.
Really could. Only time will tell. Carlott's there defending the inside once again, but realised that Corbs wasn't really looking to make a move. So pulled back towards the racing line. The gap is now 6 tenths at the front of this field. Corbs needs to regroup, recharge his batteries and go once again. 4 minutes and 42 seconds remaining in this race. Oh, this is a big chance now for Jan. He's that Porsche just sort of holding everybody up. This is his best opportunity now. Can he make a move towards Tower Corner? It's going to be a very late lunge if he thinks about it, but thinks better of it. Pulls out of that move. Up ahead, we've got another Porsche GTE, the number 10 car, the pink 10 car. Can't do anything about him. And Jan Corbs has to sort of dive down the inside. Lost a little bit of time there. Carlott's just gaining that a little bit more advantage, proving once again that he is that slight bit better in traffic, but Corbs certainly not giving up. Still 5 tenths of a second, half a second separates our top 2 in this race with 3 minutes and 50 seconds still to go through Sunset Bend. Once again, just to see how bumpy it is. I always enjoy that shot, just to see how much the suspension is having to work on these cars. These LMP1s are so stiffly sprung for best aerodynamic efficiency, so they really don't ride these bumps well at all. It's certainly not fun to drive. Wouldn't be fun if you were in the car, but it's so much fun if you get it right. Down the inside goes Charvet there. Down the inside goes Carlott on Charvet there. Almost a collision. He'll manage to get through, and Carlott certainly throwing caution to the wind at this stage of the race.
No, he's been very smart with when he's gone past some of these GTEs, because he's put Curbs in a very awkward position where if he follows his Curbs, he's going to have to do something incredibly aggressive, and that risk is not always worth taking. But it's also, because it's disrupted where the GTE's gone, it's compromising the speed of that GTE and just making it a little bit harder for Curbs to maintain the pace he wants to run at while following him. And I mean, this isn't going to be an entirely deliberate strategy from Cowlards. It's just a case of get past when you can. But it's where we say he's this master of managing traffic. It's just another example of where his racing style just works so well in these multi-class events, because he just seems to know how to get through those gaps and when to do it to maximise his advantage. I think also Eduard and Baumeister, they're quick drivers, but just look at the gap between these two and Eduard, who's nearly 40 seconds down. These guys are just so quick. It's so incredible, really, the pace they run at, and it is only going to be 2 laps left, including the next one that we're about to go on. So we are running out of time to make that move if we're Jan Curbs.
Let's see, can he do it in towards turn 1? One of the main overtaking opportunities on the circuit. He's a little bit too far back as Cowlott's there, flashing his lights. But they're going to hit traffic there. We've got an LMP2 and a few GTEs up ahead, so certainly not going to be plain sailing for Cowlott's and Corbs. They might overtake most of them before the hairpin, but Certainly going to be a lot of boost used as we head down towards the back straight now. This is crucial for the race. Can they all get past the back markers? I think they will be able to. Corbs on the outside of the Porsche GTE as he moves back in towards the racing line. So managed to get past both of the GTEs and the LMP2. That GTE battle that these two have just passed is actually Besley and Verdolivo. So Verdolivo has caught up to Besley, so he is within a shot of taking that second place in this race. So great job by Verdolivo to sort of to gain that time. He was 10 seconds behind at one stage, and that gap is now down to 0.6, Chris, and that's so difficult to do.
And depending on how much Besley's been looking at his relative, it really ramps up the adrenaline in your body, because you can think, okay, there's a very, very quick driver behind me. With only one lap to go after this, you certainly think to yourself, I need to defend for my life, especially when Marston is 15 seconds further down the road. But, you know, the pace we've seen from Verdolivo today and the confidence he's been overtaking at, I think it's only a matter of time before he gets that second stop on the podium. And to have made 9 places, potentially 10 places up from the first lap, that's a pretty incredible drive from Verdolivo.
Certainly is, as we head towards the final lap of this race. Carlos is still your race leader with Jan Korbs right behind him, 0.6 of a second. Down the inside goes Carlos, go the number, I think that's 2 GTE there. So that's really hampered Korbs' race there. Gap is now up to 0.8. I think that might have just sealed the deal there for Carlos. Unless he makes the mistake, I think Korbs is just that little bit too far behind. Down towards the hairpin now. Any mistakes from any of the drivers? No, all clean, all good. So let's have a look at the GTE battle, as they are certainly a little bit closer on track. Verdolivo now gaining on Besley up ahead. Will he choose the inside or the outside? We watch. Is he going to even think about a move? Oh, he broke so late. He's going to try and go around the outside. Thought for sure there was going to be an incident. Can't believe that Verdolivo managed to get that car stopped, but somehow he did, and somehow he managed to gain a little bit of time on Besley. Towards Cunningham Corner now they go. Oh, Carlos and Korbs side by side. Something's happened to Carlos because he was far up ahead, and Korbs is certainly catching up. Now down the straight it's going to be a battle of the boost. Who saved up more boost? In the slipstream, Korbs is, so he'll have a little bit more straight line speed, but Carlos has been a little bit quicker on the straight, and that gap is just ebbing and flowing. And I think that was Korbs' last opportunity for the overtake there, Chris. So round the final corner of Sunset comes Carlos, and he's going to cross the line to win once again here at Sebring, round 12, and he is your race winner. Korbs is second. Verdolivo sideways through the Le Mans. They're side by side through Le Mans corner. Who's going to get the better run down the straight? Oh, Edouard's let him pass. He's flashing his lights. I think he felt like he got touched there. He got damaged. Something strange going on there for Besley, because he was right in that contention. He's weaving all over the track, flashing his lights. Oh, can you get it? Car slowed down? Just about, but that's a very strange end to the race. He's going to come across the line in third place. Verdolivo is in second, and Mads Jensen is first. Let's have a look and see what's happened in this incident. Verdolivo down the inside towards the Le Mans chicane. Oh, both sides, both off the track. Oh, I wonder if he's got a slowdown.
Yeah, I think he has as well, because when we joined, he was already off track a bit, and I did wonder if either he'd lost it or been pushed out wide. And yeah, I think it's maybe just Verdolivo was just that little bit braver coming into Le Mans, but I think sometimes when there is that slight pace disparity between drivers, it's very easy to psych yourself out and just sort of concede that place in that kind of way. And it's a shame, because, I mean, Besley still finished third. That's an excellent result for him, but he's so close to still finishing second, and that's going to make this feel like a negative experience when it's been anything but, really. But that was, I must say, that was a very high quality race. We saw some really good action today.
Certainly did. We had a sort of dodgy moment with about 20 minutes to go, but that sorted itself out rather quickly. And yeah, only a few retirements. Chastain and Marco Ricci come to mind. I think there might have been a few more towards the end, but nothing major. So really clean race, and Carlos takes the win once again. I'd quite like to see what happened between Korbs and Carlos, because Korbs was about 0.8 behind when we sort of left that battle to focus on the GTE battle instead. But Calot's lost a little bit of time, and Corps was sort of side by side with him for a while. He was tantalisingly close to regaining that lead, but fortunately for Jan, couldn't quite take the lead. So Calot's is your race winner and your championship winner as well, and that's a great way to round off the championship, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it's been a pretty strong season from him, and hopefully we can see more of the same next year. It's been especially LMP1. I think it's been a very strong field throughout the year with quite a nice rotating cast of names. There's a few people we've not seen from the season before that it would be nice to see again, but it's good to see that in a format that's kind of died in real life, the LMP1 very much still alive in ESS in iRacing.
It certainly is. So let's take you through your LMP1 race results. So as we were saying, Simon Cowlitz is your race winner and your championship winner as well. Jan Korbes will have to settle for seconds, 6/10 behind your race winner. Roberto Edouard takes home another podium in third place, albeit 46 seconds off the rear of the field, with Jules Braumeister in fourth. Great debut race for him in the LMP1 field. Austin Cobb in fifth, with Jake Carey in sixth. One lap down after being involved in that incident at turn 2. In your LMP2 field, Owen Carroll was your winner. Haven't really spoken much about him, Chris. He's been a very sort of very quiet race from him, but it's exactly what you want. Led from start to finish with a 21.5-second gap. Andrew Dawson is in second, with David Gutel rounding out the podium in third. Hallam's is fourth, with Blasco right behind him in fifth place, with Elvis Bonello there in sixth. Dennis Zimmer was unable to regain any of those positions after being involved in that bit of contact before the back straight after the pit stop, so he finishes in seventh. Eighth place goes to Maxim Jusevsky there, 43 seconds behind the leader, with Asen Engelmeis there in ninth. Pietro Scientento is 10th, with Alan Elba in 11th, and Julian Chastanet unfortunately retiring after that contact, so he finishes 12th and last, and 13 laps down. And Chris, why don't you just talk us through our GTE results?
Yep, certainly. So it was, again, similar to Owen Carroll, a very simple and dominant win by Mads Johansson in the number 2 car. He was nearly 18 seconds clear of Romain Verdelivo, but that doesn't really tell us the story of Romain Verdelivo's race. Because, of course, while he did qualify in, I believe it was P9, he started from the pits. We're not entirely sure why. And despite that handicap, has managed to overtake everyone else in the field to finish second, including that last lap overtake of Tom Basley round the Le Mans chicane. Tom himself finishing third. That's a very solid result, but he'll be wondering what could have been, because you can see the pace disparity between that top 3 and the rest of the field. They're 20 seconds clear of AJ Marston, who very, quietly also went about his business. Qualified 8th, has finished 4th. That's a good result for him, with Jerome Charvet in 5th, only less than a second behind. Jorge Carmo in 6th, has had quite an eventful race, as has Vincenzo Principe in 7th. And then a minute down, we've got Raimondo Ricci, Sergei Soldatov, and Greg Murray, with Nick Phillips finishing 2 laps down after an incident, and Marco Ricci retiring 27 laps down. He only made it 4 laps into the race.
Yeah, great race results. Just while we get the championship results up for the final time, Chris, there was certainly many sort of drivers that really outperformed in that race. Who would you say was your driver of the day?
Well, I think I've already sort of waxed lyrical about him in the last few minutes, but Romain Verdelivo, we don't know why he had to start from the pits or if it was a conscious decision, but the pace he was showing today, it's really a shame he wasn't able to qualify high and start, because I think the battle we could have seen between him and Mads Johansson would have been great. But some of the overtakes we saw Verdelivo pull on the rest of the field were supreme, and actually, honestly, the driving standards throughout the race were pretty high compared to some races we've seen over the season. So it's been pretty positive this week, I would say.
It really has. Yeah, I think Verdelivo would also take my vote for driver of the day. So here are your championship standings in the LMP1 field. Simon Cowlitz is your champion, with Jan Korbes in second place. The gap This very quick maths. It's always dangerous to do this live on air, but I think that's something like 59-point gap there. So great job by Carlot's Corps as well. Great job. Neil De Backer in third, ahead of his brother Jim De Backer in fourth. I'm sure those bragging rights will be greatly appreciated. And of course, those two actually did race the earlier split today, but weren't able to make it for this split. Jake Carey finishes fifth with Roberto Edward in sixth place. He actually leapfrogs Luke Santos in seventh and Dominic Englicht in eighth to finish sixth place. So Santos in seventh and Englicht in eighth. Daniel Piso is ninth with Pascal Nellis in 10th place with 25 points to his name. Moving on to the LMP2 standings, and actually we have a little bit of an upset there at the final race of the season. Owen Carroll takes the championship with 70 points. Claudio Greco is down to second with Fraser Williamson down to third place. So Owen Carroll is your LMP2 champion for this season. Hugh Braumeister is fourth. Of course, we saw him today, but not in the LMP2 field. James Ebram is fifth with Stuart Bickley in sixth. Rue Queiroz is seventh with Benjamin Crora in eighth place, with Michael Romanidis right behind him in ninth, with Nick Burke in 10th, and Andrew Dawson there just outside the top 10, but gained 40 spots in this race to finish 11th. So certainly shows how tight the LMP2 field was. Raymond Verdolivo is your GTE champion with 86 points to his name, with Jerome Charvet there behind him on 71 points. Karim Havitz there in third with Leto fourth. Jorge Diaz was fifth with Boucher in sixth. Marco Ricci, who unfortunately retired from the race, finishes seventh overall with John Luc Denea in eighth. Claudio Mack in ninth with Sven Haas in 10th place. And there's a massive gaggle there, Chris, of drivers on 25 points. Just goes to show how tight it's been if you're in the LMP2 or GTE fields.
Yeah, I think some of that is also going to be we have such strength in depth in that GTE field that, you know, you'll have a driver turn up and win a race, and then we don't get to see them on the top step of the podium again because there's just so many other drivers able to take that position away from them in a different race. Maybe some tracks just suit some drivers better than others. Maybe we've just not got to see quite so much of some of those drivers as we'd maybe like to. But, you know, there's always another week.
Always is. Of course, there isn't another week next week, week 13. So we will not be back next week to bring you another ESS race. So, let's hope for the new build to bring some spicy new features so we can come back and show them all to you. But yeah, it's kind of strange, Chris. I always sort of look forward to these races, and it's not going to be here next week. I don't know how I'm going to cope.
Well, there's probably going to be some figure 8 racing we can do, which is clearly the same thing. Certainly the Monza crash we saw last week we could probably replicate in the figure 8 week 13 series. But yeah, I've enjoyed this. I do think the ESS fills such a really nice niche on the iRacing service, and it would be a shame to see it go, but it would also be nice to see the BOP maybe balance the cars a bit better, because I think one of the things we saw last week with all of the GTEs represented, it's we want to see more cars on the field. It would be nice, really.
It would be, yeah. I think I echo your statement. It's always so nice when we see different cars on the field, and Monza was great when we had different shapes on the field on the racetrack. It was really great to see. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed for that more next season. But I echo your sentiments. ESS is such a great series within iRacing, and certainly the type of racing that I enjoy the most. I enjoy watching and driving, so it's really been a pleasure to commentate on.
Oh yeah, and I mean, it's always, as someone who can't drive to the standards required to get into these broadcasts, as demonstrated at Suzuka this year, where I did not make top split on my week off, it's nice to be able to live vicariously through these, quite frankly, absurdly talented drivers, watching them race week in, week out, and it's been an absolute pleasure, and it's been a fantastic season.
It really has, yeah. It's been so great to watch these drivers at the height of their speed, really, and really pushing these cars to the absolute limit. And yeah, when we talk about drivers sort of having an off week and not being as quick as the others, we're still talking about insanely talented drivers who it's just sort of almost silly quick or silly how quick some of these drivers are, and it really depends from week to week, which is sort of why we love watching and commentating on these races.
Yeah. One thing I'm not looking forward to though is when the clocks go forward. This it's going to be past my bedtime at the end of the race. We'll see. There's plenty of time. We've got a week off now. We can rest our eyes and our voices. I mean, I've been ill this week, so I definitely need to go and rest my voice now. But I think we should let's not forget to thank Sean Cranleigh-Swash, who's our producer, who puts all this together and does such a fantastic job, and of course the drivers, and I suppose iRacing. Although if they bop these cars, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, well, thank you. Just a little bit more, I think. But yes, thank you very much to the drivers. Of course, thank you very much to Sean Cranleigh-Swash on production. Thank you very much, Chris Rowlands, for being such a great commentator, and it's been so much fun commentating alongside you. We'll be back not next week, but the week after for another series of the ESS. But until then, we've got the Jeans Bowl F3 League on Tuesday, which is the final race of that. So please tune in to that, and then we're taking. Then the Jeans Bowl F3 League is also taking a week off as well. So we will see you on Tuesday. But until then, have a great couple of days, and we will see you for some more racing action very soon.